Greetings, everyone. This is Kerry with the week ahead look for March 1st through the 7th. So today's Saturday, February 28th. Woke up to some pretty bad news about world events. I think last week I mentioned that things weren't likely to get much calmer. So I guess that's true. I think let's chalk it up to, again, looking at all those planets in Aquarius, which has been going on for a little bit. Rahu's been there for a while, and then we've had Mercury and Venus and the Sun. And then last week, last Sunday, Mars entered the chat. So, as we're noticing, this is ramping up with a lot of different things, including a show of aggression and force from the United States. So I'm going to link it here, but I did a little reading for the US, I don't know, a few months ago or something, just checking in, and I checked on the dashas, the planetary periods that the US is in now, and that kind of thing, and what's kind of coming up in March. And also, by the way, I did the March forecast is out. If you see it here on YouTube, it's just audio. With a pretty picture of playing the whole time. You can also read it if you like reading things better on my website, which is planetaryinfluence.com. So the March basically, just a quick overview. We're kicking it off with this lunar eclipse on the 3rd. We'll talk about that in a minute. But remember that we're in between eclipses, so this zone in between eclipses. And I think with Rahu very strong and Ketu also in Leo, the last eclipse pair that we had last fall, the in between those two eclipses was also really intense. And I think we're getting that here again. Let's chalk it up to Rahu being extremely strong in Aquarius. And when Rahu is extremely strong, chaos reigns and instability is the theme. So ready or not, here we change. So with all of that prevailing, and with Mars entering into that scene, we're seeing world events kind of spinning really quickly. We can do what we can as individual people, and for each of our charts, this is going to play out in some kind of way or another. So what do? I suggested in the March forecast that K2 sitting over there is kind of our anchor, and to zero in on meditation and body-based practices and taking care of yourself and taking care of your people. That said, the lunar eclipse is happening right with K2 in a few days from now. So, but that will close the eclipse window. Back to the U.S., right? So if you go look at that video, I use the 6:30 p.m. time for July 4th, 1776, and if you look at the planetary periods, the U.S. is in a Rahu Mercury period. In the chart, Rahu and Mercury are conjoined in the sign of Cancer, and that loops in the moon in Aquarius, which is where Rahu is transiting right over the United States moon at the moment. So this period comes to an end for the U.S. and shifts into Rahu Ketu right around the vernal equinox, which is also the day, almost the day where Mercury, currently retrograde, will go direct. So I think it's going to be a dynamic month in general, and the week ahead looks equally spicy. So that said, the main things that are changing this week are that waxing moon is going to join up with K2 for that total lunar eclipse. If you look at, just look it up on Google, where can I see the lunar eclipse, and you'll be able to know. So the US will be able to see it. Like, I'm in Colorado, I'm going to get up at 4 in the morning and see if it's not cloudy and see if I can gaze. So that's that. And then tomorrow, Sunday the 1st, Venus changes signs from leaving Aquarius and going into Pisces, which it could be great on a certain level, as far as like Venus being socially responsible and diplomatic. The Venus in Aquarius isn't bad, but with so many voices of other planets, there's a lot of movement and chaos in there. But Venus going into Pisces is a different story. Each planet has an exaltation sign, meaning when they reach a certain sign of the zodiac, they really, really perform well. They do well in that particular sign, and Venus really wants us all to get along. And Venus wants business to as usual, and with Mercury's help, transactions to happen and diplomacy to occur. So Venus and Pisces could be a better stretch for us, and it's a pretty quick transit from March 1st through the 25th. Now, caveat is our friend Saturn is up there in Pisces. Good news is Venus and Saturn are friendly with each other. So it could be that negotiation and the power of the people, and on a personal level, kind of just focusing on daily routines and your immediate relationships, is what keeps you healthy and safe and sane. So that's we got the lunar eclipse this week, and we got Venus moving into Pisces. Those are the big things. So let's start going day by day. I've got my keywords for us, and we will keep those going. So this is Sunday, March 1st, and I can't believe it's March already. The moon will be in the nakshatra of Ashlesha, which is the very last little sector of Cancer. And, the moon being in Cancer is great and fine. It's its own sign. But it is getting a little squeezed by K2 on one side and that retrograde Jupiter, which is kind of in a suspect state of, does it have good intentions or not, because of the retrograde motion of it right now. Jupiter, this is our last week of Jupiter retrograde. That's another thing to mention. Next week, on the 10th of March, Jupiter resumes direct motion. That could also be helpful. So we've got our waxing moon in Ashlesha on Sunday, and Venus goes to Pisces. So my words for Sunday are deep clean. The idea of really scooping out to the bottom of the barrel and getting those things that are creating crust in your life out. Get it out, whether it's mental, physical, literal, or metaphorical. Go deep, let it go. All right, let's move to Monday. Monday is the 2nd of March, and so the eclipse, at least here in Colorado, and I'm in the U.S. So if you're in Europe or India or some other place, it's going to be at a different time. You're just going to have to Google and again find out when that exact moment is. So for us here in this spot, the full moon eclipse happens before sunrise on March 3rd. So this day, you can see the moon travels about 13 degrees per day. So moon will catch up with K2 before sunrise on the next day. And it's in the nakshatra of Magha. Magha is the first little section of Leo, and has a lot of association with leadership, royalty, and ancestral lineage. So full moon, culmination, eclipse. So that's a lot of light and shadow play. It's destabilizing when there's a bright, pretty moon and then all of a sudden some big shadow comes. It's kind of scary. I picked my thumbnail picture with that kind of vibe. So today's words for Monday are ancestral prosperity. We can't let go of the idea that everything's draining out. There's always abundance to be found. And I'm going for Ancestral due to the Magha nakshatra. But I'm also having us really go into the deep roots of who we are. Beyond my mom and dad and my grandparents and the immigrants who came to the country 300 years ago, we all have very, very deep ancestral roots. And so let go of current events and deep down reach into who are you? What does it mean to be human? What is a human's role on earth? How am I a part of nature? And find that you are part of this system of earth's abundance. So ancestral prosperity. Go deep. Realize that we all are gifted and are a gift. All right, moving on. So this is Tuesday. So really early in the morning, before sunrise on Tuesday here in my spot, we'll have that eclipse, and then the moon begins to wane immediately. So this is Tuesday. This is Mars's day. Let's remember, Mars has that powerful, aggressive, strategic, pushing energy. And the moon and Ketu are basically opposite Mars at this point. So I don't think that we're going to see peace happening toward the beginning of this week or right after the eclipse. I think there's going to be a lot of strong energy flowing all week. Even though we're out of the eclipse cycle, it's still we need to give it a little time. So the moon in actually Purva Falguni Nakshatra on that day, which has a different feeling. It's a little more creative and a little more nurturing and a little more positive. But it's also the first day of the waning moon. So my words for Tuesday, without you being able to control the world: foster rejuvenation. You got to take care of yourself. You got to make sure your plants are watered. You got to make sure you have food in your fridge, and that you're able to put one foot in front of the other. So foster rejuvenation. Realize that you still have to keep caring, even though other things might be going on in your life that you're having to attend to or that you can't control, that kind of thing. So that's Tuesday. Let's move to Wednesday, the 4th of March, March 4th. All right, so this is the day moon goes over to Virgo by Wednesday morning. And Wednesday is Mercury's day. It's usually a good day for shopping and managing and that kind of daily stuff. So that's what I usually do on Wednesday. This is Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, which spans between Leo and Virgo. And Virgo is an earth sign, and it's Wednesday, and Mercury's retrograde. So it's likely that all those boxes you check, that half of them you'll have to go back and recheck. So plan for patience. This is Uttara Falguni and waning moon. So stable initiation. You got to keep starting your new projects. You got to keep things going. Find your stability. Root down. Remember what your main purpose is, and get going. Wednesday. All right, Thursday. This is the 5th of March, and moon's still waning, and it's getting out of that eclipse zone. However, that moon in Virgo is still actually getting an aspect from Mars. So Mars aspects Leo because it's right across the opposition aspect. And then Mars also has the ability to aspect 8 places from where he is. So Virgo's getting that Mars energy. So is Taurus, by the way. So if you're any of those signs, you might feel edgy. You might feel like that. Why am I so mad? Why am I reacting so flame, like a flame just getting up? So Mars's aspect and position can cause that fiery energy. So hey, Tauruses, Leos, and Virgos, especially on these while the moon is there, you could get a little flamed. So this is Thursday, Hasta moon. which is nice. That's not a flamey nakshatra. That's a grounded nakshatra and a soft energy. Our words for Thursday are creative precision. So this is a good day for doing fine detailed work and tapping into creativity. Guess what? Who else is aspecting Virgo is Saturn for a long time. And Venus. Venus all month is going to be aspecting Virgo. So you got that going for you, Virgos. At least Venus is kind of balancing out that fiery energy with like compassion and softness and that kind of thing. So it's a good day for getting some creative projects done and things that need detailed energy. All right, this is Friday, and we have the moon in, Chitra nakshatra. Chitra spans, you'll see it's at 28 degrees. Chitra spans between Virgo and Libra. It also has creative energy. So Thursday and Friday might be good days for doing those kind of art, music, jewelry making, whatever it is your thing is. My words for today are weird. So I've got us at constructive destruction. I know. I tried hard to not make it that, but my point is that sometimes in creative work, like, okay, I'm going to make a shirt out of fabric. I'm basically destroying fabric by cutting into it and cutting shapes. So if I'm destroying the smoothness of the fabric, but I'm also constructing something due to that destruction. So it's kind of this paradoxical energy I'm feeling for Friday. So that happens a lot with creative work. Maybe you've got your plan for your project and you get halfway down the road on Friday and you realize like, oh, this is a much better idea. I'm going to have to hack out all those things I just did and then actually maybe take a few pieces and tack them on over here. So that's the energy I'm feeling for Friday, March 6th. All right. Then we've got the final day of the week, Saturday. And we're looking at still the waning moon. Now, the moon going into Libra or being in Libra. So Chitra will do that a little bit on Friday, end of Friday, and then Saturday. So Swati moon, which can be like the symbol for Swati is like this little tiny blade of grass waving in like big wind. So it's like little you against the big world kind of feeling. So the thing is with the air signs right now, Jupiter's in an air sign, Gemini. Those other four left in Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign, and Libra is also an air sign. So there's a triangle of air signs. And the way Jupiter and Rahu work with their aspects is that they're aspecting each other and they aspect all the air signs. So all the air signs right now are just very windy, let's say. So this looks like a very windy day on Saturday the 7th. And Jupiter's aspecting the moon and Rahu's aspecting the moon and Jupiter's still retrograde. So you might be that little blade of grass waving in the wind. So how do you stay calm? You have roots. You have deep grass roots. And grass isn't just like all by itself. Grass has a deep network of being connected to all the other grass. So that's why grass roots movements imply the power of the people. Libra is also a very power of the people, social responsibility sign. Based on what happened last night, I wouldn't be surprised to see millions of Americans in the streets next Saturday. So let's see. I'll check in with you next Saturday and we'll see. So the words for Saturday that I came up with are quick completion. So it might feel like, oh, this isn't really ready, but you got to keep moving. You got to move on to the next thing. So that feeling of even though there's chaos, even though there's instability, you still have to do what you do. So the other things I wanted to mention for Saturday and by the end of the week. So look up at Aquarius there and Pisces. So you can look at the degrees of the Sun and Mercury, retrograde Mercury. So this is a deep combustion of Mercury. So what's happened is the Sun's coming from one side and retrograde Mercury is coming from the other. And on Saturday, they pass. So retrograde Mercury keeps going and the Sun keeps advancing toward Pisces. So when a planet gets really close to the Sun, like we're looking at that planet, we can't see it because it's so close to the Sun and the Sun is very bright. It's called combustion. In Western astrology, they say Kazimi, and it has a more positive connotation in Western astrology. So combustion in Vedic astrology kind of has that vibe of like, oh, that planet's lost. We just can't hear its voice. Whereas Kazimi has more of like, oh, it's merging with the power of the Sun. So this is my one Western astrology kind of lean is, yeah, it might be hard to see Mercury, but he's still there. And so think about like retrograde Mercury is a little wiggy right now, especially getting almost an exact conjunction of retrograde Jupiter. Like nobody knows what they're doing, really. There's like absolute chaos going on. Rahu's still close enough. And so maybe think of like, okay, I can't control everything, but what does my soul think I should do? Could be a good time to just sit down and take it easy, or quickly complete what you need to complete. So that's the one thing on Saturday. The other thing is look up at Pisces. We've got Venus approaching Saturn. So Venus is great in Pisces. Awesome. Venus likes Saturn. That's cool. But when two planets are really close to each other, excluding the luminaries, that comes to a feeling of planetary war. I mean, they're not punching each other or whatever, but this idea of like the Venus is coming up and then passing by Saturn because it's faster. So as Venus approaches, like on Saturday, Saturn is more dominant. And then it's going to pass by Saturn and then Venus wins. It kind of gets on top in a sense. So I feel like this is going to be a really hard week with this friction building. Aggressive Mars kind of in that whole meeting of everybody in Aquarius. But I feel like Venus and Saturn coming together are kind of like deep negotiations and people talking and joining together. So by the end of the week, tensions really might build. And then next week when we talk, we'll look at Venus getting stronger and stronger and Jupiter going direct, etc. So that'll be next week. All right, just to review, Sunday, the 1st, deep clean. Get that out of there. Monday, ancestral prosperity. Realize that true richness isn't just in your pocketbook or your bank account. It's inside of you and your DNA. And, find that abundance in there. Tuesday, the 3rd, foster rejuvenation. Use the fiery energy you might be feeling rather than lashing out. Turn it inward and use it for healing and bettering yourself. The 4th on Wednesday, stable initiation. It's very wiggly energy on Wednesday. So I'm just saying find your own stability and work forward with what you have to do. Thursday, creative precision. And Friday, constructive destruction. So I feel like those are 2 days to get into your art studio or whatever it is you might do, music. And maybe you focus on what you can do. You're the creator. You're the constructive. And you have to cut the fabric in order to make a shirt. Saturday, quick completion. So end of the week, we've got those conjunctions coming up. We've got Moon in Libra. So you're going to be done whether you're done or not. Just finish your project, figure out what's next. Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you stay safe and sane and reach out to people when you need connection because we're not alone. We're not supposed to be alone and we can't control the world. So please take care of yourself. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And I love your comments. Likes and subscribes are appreciated always. So I'm going to keep doing it either way. All right. Have a good one. Bye. Take care.